Ah.
Hey people, lick it up. This is the album, this is the focus tonight. Join us. I am Jason Flom. This guy's so cool, he is the breeze. Peter Tejan.
He's the breeze.
Alright, so we got a table full of stuff to show. We have stories to tell. So
we can show some vinyl and a few things before we probably talk about Creatures Tour going into Lick It Up.
Definitely.
Recording of the album, etc. Lick It Tour.
The tour, the videos. Gotta talk about those videos.
And I got something that's really going to get us pumped. I don't know any other way to get us more pumped than Slayer posing his Kiss. I mean, what could get you more pumped than Slayer posing his Kiss? Look at, you got Hanneman back there. When I saw this, I was just like, oh my gosh. They were like literally going for like a Slayer pose here.
Wow.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Anyway, if you're not pumped now, I mean...
Is this going to start another 10-minute Slayer conversation?
There's no hope for you, yeah. Okay. All right, so...
I should silence that.
What's that?
My phone.
Oh, yeah. So we got some vinyl. So this one here is the vintage 83 standard American vinyl. It's got the Mercury label. And every time I show these on camera, I just like to say how amazing like the condition of my records are. Like, ooh, that one's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Can't have the lyric sheet. And that's all that came in it. So this is kind of the era where they're on polygram and they're kind of solidifying from continent to continent, like, you know, the labels, the look of the albums. Mm-hmm. They don't want a bunch of weird stuff coming out in Brazil that it's like they don't, you know what I mean? Who knows? Who has control over this this machine? Mm-hmm. So that's the American one. So Lick It Up, one of my very, very favorite eras for the group. It's funny that the merch is a little streamlined. It's kind of like, you know, I mean, here's one from the Netherlands and it really doesn't look much different. You know, in the 70s this would be probably crazy. In the 70s this would probably have rock and roll over pictures or something mixed in, or like, you know, I do have one pretty weird one coming up, and it's got, you know, Filmworks label, and it's got the lyric sheet in there. But this is pretty cool. Phonogram Records. It's from the Netherlands, so that one is a nice pressing.
One, those Japanese.
Yeah, obviously
they found a way to fool people.
Yeah, obviously for years I saw this and I thought this was the album cover. But okay, the truth is, if you haven't owned one, this is a fake Obi printed on this full sheet that's here, and you know, underneath it is just the regular album.
Yeah.
Underneath there. So when I got it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But
so they're leading people to believe Kiss still wears makeup.
Yeah, and that happened a lot. Some of my other merch I have from this era, like the Unmasked poster, is that Sea Breathing Fire? Yeah, that's a makeup picture. That's a makeup picture there. And over here we got a German Lick It Up tour poster, and underneath it says Unmasked. Always confusing. Of course, this one says Unmasked Tour. Also, of course, it's not Unmasked Tour, but it's the Unmasking Tour. But this one's got Eric and Peter up top in makeup, and the group down here. Go figure, you know.
And a stage shot from Unmasked from 1980.
Yeah.
So
Paul, that's Unmasked Paul, right? I mean, that black feathery thing, that's Unmasked Tour, right? Australia?
Yeah.
So over here I got a Finnish poster magazine, one of those ones that just unfolds like 8 times, and it's Lick It Up. And then you got a really early Bloody Jean over here.
It's like 1974.
And so on, you know what I mean? I just thought it was so cool and just so ridiculous that I had to have it.
Pretty random.
Yeah. So this one here is pretty cool because this slips in. This is the Japanese one. It slips in and it's got some cool got some cool colors for all those Kiss fans who'll spend another $100 because this version has a little
Now, can you read
little
that to
pink
me?
color over here or whatever. You know what I mean? Which I'm guilty of myself. I was watching a What's in Your Bag. You know what that is?
Yes.
When band guys are on
Amoeba
tour.
music.
Yeah, and they go and they buy some vinyl or whatever, or CDs and stuff, and they talk about what's in their bag. It's kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
So I saw What's in Your Bag with the drummer from Deerhoof, and he's awesome. I've seen him live, he's great. And he had this CD, and he was showing all this music that's really relevant, it means a lot to him. Then he gets to the CD and goes, yeah, I bought this one because it has a little blue, I like this blue color right here. And that was it, you know what I mean? So that kind of ties into Kiss. You know what I mean? How they make things really fun to look at. And even though he said that, and I kind of laughed out loud when I watched that, when he said that, I kind of knew what he was talking about, We do sometimes buy a book judged on the cover, So that's Look It Up Japan. And then I got the boring but perfect 180 gram. And of course they go back to the Black Mercury label. Yeah, and these are really nice.
Good reproduction.
And then I got a really weird one here, which...
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a really weird one here. This is Ecuador, and it looks like maybe mine sat out in the sun in the window. You would think that, but no, they all look like this.
Really?
And you look them up online on Discogs and stuff. They're just printed shitty, It's like Korean albums from the 60s and 70s stuff. They're just, I don't know how they're printed, but...
It's thin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of thin. To me, it feels like a Korean. But when you open this up, look what you got here. You got some weirdness.
This will blow some minds, I promise.
Yeah, this is weird. So it really is, if you can read it.
It really is. It's Lick It Up.
It really is Lick It Up with Dynasty on there. Of all eras to connect with.
Wow, and you would think that's a mistake. No, they're all like that.
They've finally taken the makeup off because they want to come clean and they just want to be them on the stage and jump around freely. And then the picture they use on the album is
Leave It to
Dynasty,
Ecuador.
the biggest, most pumped up costumes of all. It's just kind of funny. The most glammy costumes they ever did.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are some vinyl that I have to show. And then I have a few CDs. This is the 80s CD. It sounds great. And on this one, it's interesting because I always like to say what differences. There is a big difference on these too. It's worth getting both if you're an audiophile, if you care about audio. This is brighter, louder, bigger, but it's kind of like the Iron Maiden remasters before the current ones. Those were pretty brash, And this doesn't sound bad. It sounds, the level matches the rest of the catalog because they kind of matched, they solidified the volumes throughout the catalog. But I gotta say, I like the 80s sound better. The high end is definitely warmer. It sounds nice.
So that's your go-to when you...
Yeah. Okay. And I got one more fun CD. I got this in probably maybe 2003, probably about 20 years ago, before signatures cost so much to get a hold of, especially Kiss signatures. They weren't really that big a deal then. Mm-hmm. And Vinnie, I got this. I think I got this for $9 back then. And it's a Vertigo. It's a, what is it? Vertigo. It's phonogram. So it's over there in Europe, and he signed. I think it's interesting how he just fucking signed over their faces. Almost looks totally intentional. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Right over. He left Eric alone.
He left him totally alone.
Yeah. But he made sure and hit straight over Gene Paul's face.
Do you know when he signed that?
I don't know, but I've had it for 20 years, so.
Okay. Can I take a look at it? Wow.
Maybe a silver pin. I don't know. I don't think it'd be 83 necessarily.
Maybe at one of the Kiss conventions.
Probably. Yeah.
Or they did do some in stores for Lick It Up. Well, yeah, this is the old one.
No, right? I mean seriously, he, after they kicked him out a couple times.
Did the CD come out when the album did? Probably.
They're feuding, so I really think he kind of just went right over their faces.
Yeah. Okay. Probably did.
A couple other things. I got this is France, a magazine from France right here, French magazine, Enfer. This is killer. This has got. I'm so glad I picked this up. This has got some really cool. Oh, that's right. Not just the Kiss stuff in here, but This was a really cool magazine. I guess they only had like a couple dozen issues before it went under. But this is 83, and they thought Metallica was already so important. They got 2 pages on Metallica. Cool pictures in 83. Who else was doing that in 83? You know what I mean? I think they were hitting big in Europe before they were over here. It's got some great interviews and stuff that I can't read, but great pics of John Sykes on that last Thin Lizzy tour. The last, real lineup. Pretty cool whole discography of Thin Lizzy and stuff.
And Alice Cooper's in here, right?
It's got, is that this one? I think there is an Alice Cooper
on
thing
the
here.
front.
Yeah, there is an Alice
The
Cooper.
cool thing about that, if you're an Alice fan, keep in mind this is 1983.
Got a whole article on Diamond Head. I mean, this is probably just a really special issue too. It just happened to have a lot of cool stuff in it. Twisted Sister before Stay Hungry hit. Pretty cool. I love the early Twisted Sister. But the kids stuff.
Do you know who signed Twisted Sister to Atlantic Records?
Who?
Jason Flom.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, a guy named Jason Flom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's another.
Yeah.
Cool Alice. It's a 2-pager.
Of course, the picture's from 1975, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to my nightmare. So this is really cool because I lost it. I'm a Black Sabbath Born Again fan. And look what they do for this. They're just going all out for this. Circus Magazine didn't care about that era of Sabbath that much. Cool things are happening in Europe. It's got a cool ad for the Lick It Up. I think is that the single? That's the album. Yeah, that's the full album. That's a pretty cool ad with the red up there. And then where is the Kiss article? Did I pass it? I guess I passed it. Oh, here we go.
Is the interview with Vinnie?
This is continued. It's all about like Vinnie in this issue. It's pretty cool. I swear there is. Maybe that is it. I thought there was a couple pages with. Yeah, I have another magazine here, but there's also a rainbow article in here. Anyway, I don't want to go off on this too long. I've already spent 5 minutes on it, but.
Oh, it's very cool though.
Enfer, what a cool French mag that is,
Yeah.
And then this UK.
Kerrang!
This is very cool. And they got Paul on there, hiding his face, but it's kind of a cool image. It's graphic-y. It's kind of contrasting, and then it's got the albums behind it. And this is another really cool issue that has a bunch of cool stuff. And of course, since we're talking about Kiss, we can throw in that Gene made King Diamond stop using his makeup, and then therefore, after Gene fucked with him on it, he just said, "All right, well, thanks a lot, Gene. Now I have a better idea. I'm just going to change it for like every tour." So that's what King Diamond did. So you've got another Kiss Lick It Up ad, and this is the ad for the single right there. The 7-inch sleeve there. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Now this is cool. This has got a picture. Licking a Promise.
So a picture from the Unmasking, which
Yeah,
we'll
with
talk
JJ.
about, and the Lick It Up video.
And a shot from the Lick It Up video, which is cool. And then the only other picture in here.
Vinnie was getting a lot of press, but
It's got Vinnie.
full page.
And look at that. He's getting ready to squirt some mayonnaise in someone's mouth or whatever. Both those videos from this album, they're eating food with girls. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's like a food fight with girls in both videos.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So yeah, this is a pretty cool
Yeah. Kerrang!
Thing
Magazine
also.
rules.
What you got over
What do
there,
we got on my
Jason?
side? We have is this the American single?
Yeah.
For Lick It Up with Dance All Over Your Face on the other side, Mercury label.
Yeah, no fancy sleeve, but
No, just the standard thing. Here's the American cassette. I'm gonna show that.
to me, this is how Lick It Up should be. The tan case.
Here's another version of that.
Yeah, this is actually the one that I had, kind of with the dark tan.
Now here's everybody's favorite. Did you get this for a penny?
The Tape Club version.
Borders, Columbia House.
Yeah, if that was vinyl, it'd have the CRC sticker on the back, huh?
That's classic.
Yeah, it's cool. There's black ones too. I don't know if they're different press or. But
When I used to order cassettes from Columbia House, I would just like, please don't come with the borders, be the real thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You didn't want that. You didn't want
I
that
didn't
red.
want that kind, no.
Yeah, but now it's pretty cool.
Because it doesn't look cool like in your tape collection.
Yeah.
Like, it stands out.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the store.
Did you show this?
Not yet. If you're into bootlegs like I am, video and audio, the show from Quebec on the Lick It Up tour was really the first bootlegged show. For a while, it was the only Lick It Up footage really available. So
Yeah.
this is the actual DVD of that show. It's from March '84. This is I think this is 3 or 4 shows later the tour ended and Vinnie was out of the band. So, yeah, they were still doing Give Me More at this point. That's cool. Exciter was actually out of the set list by this point. Young and Wasted, of course, was still there. So, yeah, we're going to talk way more about the tour, though.
And it's a Kiss Vision.
Kiss Vision, yeah.
So when you saw Kiss Vision on something, you know, you Kiss fans know that was some badass stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used
Kiss
to
Vision,
get my Kiss VHS tapes from a guy named Al Odom.
Al Odom.
Yeah, that's the way he talked, too.
Al Odom.
Talked to him on the phone once.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, it's Al Odom.
I got you some Hot in the Shade tour.
Anyway, anybody else ordered from Kiss Kissables? That was the name of his company, Kiss Kissables. He would send literally like 8th generation VHS tapes. But the Quebec concert, actually from no, I think it was Montreal, the Creatures tour. There was a Montreal one from Creatures tour and Quebec from Lick It Up. So that was the only known footage for a long time. Of course, now there's some other stuff. Essen, Germany, I believe. There's a full show on YouTube. Oh, look at this. Everybody remembers back patches, right?
Gotta have it.
Yeah. So here's one from
There's
Lick It
some
Up
other
tour.
really cool ones too. Although I'm trying to get a couple more of the back patches from the Lick It Up tour that are like, you know, I like to get them at least under $75. Jeez, you know, they're pretty expensive these days.
Yeah.
Some of the Kiss stuff I was buying in the early 2000s, I didn't know how lucky I was. You know, getting new old stock posters rolled up from 77 for like $20 and stuff like that. Now rolled up, that's like, you know, a couple hundred. So
Yeah, and I was telling Peter,
What are you gonna do?
if you see the vest Gene's wearing there, you can actually buy that same vest, officially licensed by Kiss, of course. I was watching an unboxing on YouTube of a guy who ordered the vest, and it looks pretty cool. You wouldn't think like there would
from
be,
Kiss Online?
I think so.
Wow.
You wouldn't think there would be Lick It Up costumes available, but there actually is.
They know that there's a pretty large group of people who love that era. So.
Yeah, it surprised me. Here,
It's a UK ad.
UK ad.
Yeah. Black and white version. There's a color version also where I think the Kiss logo's red, you know.
Has some tour dates there. Yeah, so Kiss they were
Because they were on Vertigo over there, so it's Vertigo.
yeah, they were starting to get a lot of press again, you know. Of course, they had the whole gimmick of taking off the makeup.
Yeah.
That got them a lot of attention, which is,
Yeah.
you know.
One more thing to show before we go into overdrive.
Oh, yeah.
This here, you want to hold it
Yes.
side. This is one of my favorite posters. From Lick It Up tour. Obviously they're in Europe somewhere. But this is a way cool poster. And I didn't have this in the old days. You did.
I did.
But I'd never seen it. I saw it on eBay a couple years ago or whatever and picked it up. But pretty amazing. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Okay, so I mentioned there's gonna be some stories, and to hear a story about Vinnie Vincent, you're gonna have to stay till the very end. We're saving that till the end. But anyway, we'll get to another story along the way. It kind of fits into the whole story of this album and tour. So let's go back to, I guess, June '83. Well, the Creatures tour had been over, but they got an offer to play some huge stadium shows in Brazil. And so, of course, they jumped on that chance. It was probably a good stroke to their ego as well. After the Creatures tour with minimal people in attendance, they played these huge. One show had like 180,000 people. So, so they're playing in Brazil. Last shows with makeup. Everybody has seen the footage. Incredible, you know, just incredible footage.
Vinny said that later he said that they knew that was going to be the last those are going to be the last handful of shows with makeup.
My favorite thing about those shows, there's footage. Everybody has seen it. I believe they open up the Creatures and they come out, and Gene is so into it, he falls over. He literally, he's banging so hard he falls over. There's footage of it.
You can see him on the Look It Up tour a little later, where he's still going crazy, but he's just kind of running around like, where's he going? Like, he's just running. Like, he's trying to deliver some energy, but it's known he kind of doesn't quite know how he's going to do it with no makeup and stuff.
Anyway, when he falls over, he acts like it's part of the show. I think he bangs some more on his knees down there when he's on the ground. But those shows are incredible, and just to see them playing in front of that many people. A little side note, the first Kiss bootleg I ever bought, and I bought my audio bootlegs, and I would love to know if anybody else out there bought bootlegs from this guy. Bill Kershaw of Heaven Tapes. I don't know where I found him, maybe an ad in the back of some magazine, like, send an essay.
I sent away for some catalogs back then.
Yeah, exactly. Send for a catalog.
Yeah.
So I get this catalog in the mail, and I didn't even know what a bootleg was. Like, people went to shows and taped them. So, and I get this list of shows, and of course, one of the first things I see is Seattle '79. But the first one I decided to buy, because I believe Shane bought Seattle '79 since he was there. I bought Brazil '83. I thought, I want to hear something from the Creatures tour. So I bought it. And like a week later, it comes in the mail. He shipped fast. And I get it, and I put it in. One of the worst sounding bootlegs to this day I've ever heard.
So it was a handheld?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you know how big the stadium was, and it was terrible. It was like, I think they're doing Firehouse. It was one of those kind of things. But I cherished it. Because,
I think it's Firehouse. Vinnie said that he taped a lot of these shows. He said he has a lot of these shows in cassette.
I think he says he has them all. Yeah. Maybe, some of those soundboards that were recently released on the box set, maybe that's what he's referring to. He has copies of those. So maybe this is Kiss's way of getting back at him. Like, oh yeah, we'll release them first.
Totally.
Yeah. So, so they played these shows in Brazil, and, they were huge. And right immediately afterwards, in July and August, they start recording Lick It Up. And they decided, it was actually Paul's idea. He talked to Gene. Can you imagine being a fly on the wall at this time? He said, hey, I think we should take the makeup off.
During Creatures recording, he wanted it off then, but Gene wouldn't really go for it, and Paul hung in there a little longer.
Well, then you seen what happened with Creatures. And, it was a last-ditch resort. And Paul's been honest about it. They had no other choice at this point. The makeup had run its course.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Creatures is so fucking good. From the recording, the album cover, the songs, the performances, and they just got every guitar player that they wanted to solo on everything, because they didn't really have a solid lead guitar player. That album, I think Lick It Up is just as good, but I think it's different, No, it doesn't have the same exact drum sound, but it has a different kind of drum sound, but Creatures are just so good. And when they delivered that album, then they knew how good it was. And when that didn't even work, I think they're like, all right.
That had to hurt.
I think they're like, okay, we got to take the makeup off and do something.
Yeah, they were trying to shake things up.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're going to get some free press out of it. And so they do. They record the album with Michael James Jackson again. Hey, worked the first time, right? Well, first two times. Worked with Killers. Worked with them on Killers. So they work with him again. Gene and Paul co-producing.
They're so lucky they found him too, because Killers, Creatures, Lick It Up, and he started Animalize with them. Didn't finish it, but he must have been these albums are so good. He must have been the absolute perfect guy for them to work with, to bouncing ideas off and kind of letting them be them and pulling their strengths out of them, because they had the right guy, man.
Yeah, and they were, Paul, I know at least Paul and Michael James Jackson were friends until the end. When I say the end, Michael just died like within a year ago. So. And also towards the end, I know he went on at least one Kiss cruise, so, he was out there and meeting the fans and things like that. He knew how important he was in history.
Yeah.
So anyway, they record this album. They do it in New York. 3 or 4 different studios, right?
I heard like 5 or 6. I heard quite a bit. Atlantic. I think I actually took some notes on it before.
Right Track Studios, I think.
Right Track, Atlantic, but a bunch of studios.
Yeah.
It said, the thing I read that said even maybe up to 3 at a time.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. Wow. Hey, if you have the money to do it.
Yeah.
Dave Whitman was one of the engineers.
See?
If you watched our Dress to Kill episode, you know about him.
Yeah.
They liked working with Dave.
He's their secret, you know.
He is the secret weapon of the band. Dave Whitman's the 5th member, Chris.
Dave Whitman. What would his makeup be, man?
Exactly.
Like
Engineer
some
man.
faders on his...
Turtle Boy.
Yeah. Be a compressor. These would be the knobs right here.
So,
Turtle Boy.
So the album is set for release in September, but first they have to take care of some business. They need to go on MTV and unveil their faces and let all the girls see how good looking they are.
Mm-hmm.
So sure enough, September 18th, I watched this live. This was so cool. It was a Sunday night, I remember. This might sound hard to believe now just because we know what Kiss looks like, but believe it or not, it was like a huge deal, like to somebody like me, like when they would show like Gene's photo, you know, they showed a picture of Gene with makeup that would fade away, and then there he is right there.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, you know, because you see pictures in magazines, like Cream magazine would have pictures of them without makeup and stuff, but you never really knew exactly. Like, Paul,
He's like, hey JJ.
Yeah, exactly.
See, when I got into him the next year in '84, I had a lot of fun trying to figure out who was who. And I'm like, because I mean, look at it. Their hair looks almost exactly the same. They had black, dark curly hair.
Wig.
Yeah, wig over here. Wig and
possible mannequin body.
Mannequin, and there's a cucumber down here too. There's cucumber in there.
That's an armadillo.
But they look pretty similar. You know what I mean? And then earlier, like Hot on Hell Tour, before the black kind of faded out with the blue black dye, Ace looked really similar too, and I couldn't tell who was who without the makeup sometimes. You know, so it was really fun for me to kind of figure out. You know,
and that's a cool thing to look similar in bands, I think. You know?
Yeah.
It started with the Beatles.
They always want to look like they belong. Gene's face in makeup has this slendering aspect because of these lines, these vertical lines, you know. And, you know, he did this. I mean, he doesn't really have a slender face. He kind of has a big head. Or maybe it's sort of wide. I don't know. But it's not, like, sleek, you know.
Yeah.
So without makeup, it's like, it just doesn't really look like the same face. It's so cool the way...
Exactly.
It's so cool the way he looks like this. And I'm a guy. I don't really think he looks bad or anything. I don't know. But, you know, with the makeup, he looked badass, you know. And Paul doesn't really look much different.
Paul doesn't look much different. Either does Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Gene's makeup really changed. Ace also. Ace's makeup really changed the feel of his face, you know.
Oh, yeah. Ace and Gene, I think, look totally different with and without makeup.
Yeah, it's those vertical lines, I think, you know, but...
So, yeah, they go on MTV, and like he said, hey, JJ. JJ Jackson was the VJ.
Yep.
Video jockey, they called him. Back when MTV played music.
Yep.
So
is
this
MTV still around? Or is it gone?
No, they're around. They're like game shows and stuff. And
MTV stands for something else now. MTV stands for something else.
It should.
Yeah.
So that of course I had to tape it. I taped it and watched this interview over and over again, and they world premiered the Lick It Up video. But it's a really cool interview. Watch it. It's on YouTube. It was on one of those history DVDs, although that is an edited version. There's more to the interview. The whole thing's on YouTube though, so check that out. Very cool interview. Keep in mind it's the first time they've ever been on camera without makeup.
Yeah,
on.
Kissology's kind of short.
It is.
Kissology, actually, they're very cool. I mean, you gotta have them, but they shorten a lot of things.
Yeah, the Tomorrow Show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Gene on Mike Douglas' show. They just cut that down to almost nothing.
Yeah. So just keep in mind, people, there's longer versions of all that stuff on
and
YouTube.
all the concerts, they take a song or two out of most shows.
Yeah.
But it's still cool to have.
Yeah. So, yeah, the interview with JJ Jackson, though, classic. I love it.
And the Lick It Up video released on the same day, which they had in rotation.
Yeah.
Kind of people say, oh, this was at 11 o'clock at night. Like, Kiss wasn't important then. But the video was playing and stuff.
Yeah, it was on 8 o'clock at night. Like if we're talking about the unmasking, it was on 8 o'clock at night Pacific time. I remember watching.
I read that it was on at 11.
Eastern time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the video did go into, I guess, moderate rotation. I heard 3 times a day. Yeah, probably late at night. I personally, I watched MTV a lot. I didn't see the Lick It Up video a whole lot.
I didn't really see it a lot either, but I didn't really. I remember we got it in late '83, and I didn't really watch it a ton because, let's see, I was 10. I didn't really know what MTV was, and it was just a channel my mom went by once in a while. And I remember she went, oh, what's that? She went back, and it was When Doves Cry video. So I remember it was like late '83, and then by the time Hungry Like a Wolf was a big hit and stuff like that, I was starting to watch it more, and Looks That Kill and stuff like that.
Okay,
you know.
Yeah.
But the Look It Up video, since we're kind of on that, it's pretty cool. You know, I think it's cool. You know.
Yeah, Paul was talking about in his book that there's no sets. That was just the portion. I think he said the Bronx.
Oh, sure, that skull was just sitting right there.
Oh, okay. A couple things are.
There was these girls having a food fight over here. We just said, let's make a video.
No, but the actual. This is Paul. Paul. This you call him Paul a liar?
Yeah. Well, maybe I am. No, I know, but they didn't have to do much.
No.
Yeah, it was already.
Paul actually called it one of the most surreal things that he's ever seen. This post-apocalyptic kind of area in the Bronx. So yeah, I think the video is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's cool. A lot of bands were doing the Motley Crue videos, kind of these Mad Max videos, you know. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. You know, they're just sitting there walking tough, and it's got.
I love seeing them walk tough, especially in
I
Ohio
love
Straight
them when they
Loose.
walk tough.
Yeah, they're badass.
Yeah, totally. I thought it was really good. He's got the pink V in that video.
He does.
Which there's a story with that. You know that story of that pink V?
Tell me the story about the pink V.
Do you know it?
Remind me.
It's the third incarnation of Randy Rhoads' designs to get the flying V he wanted out of Grover Jackson. And Vinnie knew Grover Jackson. Vinnie knew Grover Jackson. And Randy had died at this point, and Grover showed it to him, and Vinnie thought it was pretty awesome. He says, you know, make a couple little changes, and make it pink. And he was going pink, man. On the Creature store, he was using a white. I think he was using it somewhere in the Creature store. He was using a white version of this. So he had already had this put together.
Didn't he use a Strat on that tour for a while?
I don't. He probably had some backups or whatever. But it's a smaller V with kind of like a curved fin, you know. And so he's got. Or is the white V on the Creatures tour a normal V? I'm not sure. But the pink one for these videos and for most of the Look It Up tour is a pink V. It's the Randy Rhoads third V version, you know, which became everybody started playing it later. But
so who is the common denominator between Vinnie and Randy Rhoads?
Grover Jackson.
I was gonna say Dana Strum.
Oh yeah.
You people know what I'm talking about. Dana's the one who got Ozzy and
yeah, there's a thing with Dana and Vinnie and Ozzy and Paul or whoever called him later. We'll talk about that later.
And Grover Jackson, that's a good point too.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. That's the Randy guitar basically. So.
Yeah. So there it is. Lick It Up. It makes its debut. Yeah, I just love that footage of them playing in that video. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Even Vinnie does some cool things in that. You know.
Dude, Vinnie had this cool, evil, I'm badass, even though he's this little guy or whatever, this thin little guy. I mean, we can't even tell this is a mannequin. Look how thick those legs are. But he had an attitude, you know what I mean? He was pretty badass for the group then. He had a look that worked, you know.
He did.
I had a girlfriend that just thought he was very not appealing. And she was really talking about the Ankh makeup. She wasn't even talking about him on the Lick It Up, but she just thought the whole vibe with him and I guess the Ankh makeup was really ugly. But as a guy, I never really judged whether he was ugly or not, but I thought he looked pretty rocking and passionate and evil at times.
No, I'm gonna say this right now. Vinnie and Kiss fucking ruled.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too bad it didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know.
It is
because
way
Boys
too
Are Gonna
bad.
Rock. When you hear some of there's a project Vinnie had, which we'll probably talk about more later also, but called Warrior. Some of these songs stem from there. But you know, when Kiss does some of those songs or parts from the songs or whatnot, it's so good. So just think if Boys Gonna Rock was going to be on Animalize. Whoa, that would have been big.
Well,
because Vinnie had good songs.
it was kind of on Lick It Up. We're gonna get to that.
Oh yeah,
track by track.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about Vinnie Vincent for a while.
Let's do that.
Okay? We're gonna. We always want to try to highlight one Kiss member once in a while, and Lick It Up is the best time to highlight Vinnie.
In every episode, we highlight Vinnie because people love him so much.
We actually do. So.
I mean, of course, neither of us know him. We just know that he was badass with Kiss.
Yeah.
And his solos can't be beat. And it's just, and he wrote good songs. Mm-hmm. So we're here talking about.
And he made Kiss a heavier band.
He did, maybe, yeah. I mean, Animalize is pretty fucking heavy, though. I mean, Creatures is pretty heavy, and he didn't come in right at the start. But his guitar sound and his tone, man, you know. Oh, yeah, he was a wild man. I mean, he really did make him heavier with his solos. You know, he's just loved the bar and those soaring notes, and he was a wild man on guitar.
Yeah, so Vinnie Vincent, born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I believe he moved to Brooklyn as a teenager, and that is his bio.
I have a cheesy bio here that I thought would be really fun to skip through. Vinnie Wiz Vincent, and you said that they kind of dropped the Wiz after a while because they got pissed off at him. But
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Early on,
that's what he was.
He was the
called
Wiz.
In the press.
They were impressed, but real name Vincent
Cusano.
Yeah. His hair color's brown. This is one of those things where I tell you his favorite food and everything. No, it's not that bad. Martial status, single, which I thought was interesting.
That's not true.
Because he would say,
he was married.
I wanted more money from Paul and Jean because I had kids and...
He wasn't single.
Yeah, exactly. But it says single with an exclamation mark.
Single!
So I thought this was pretty funny to print off. A nickname Wiz because of his blistering guitar style and his love of ancient Egyptian history.
I thought it was because of his bladder problem.
What? Even though Paul designed the makeup?
Exactly. See, we found two lies in here already.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not from 16, but it's from some magazine. But about his costume, the Egyptian ankh, the whole motif was designed by Vinnie.
Not true.
With another exclamation mark.
Not true. They're really excited right now.
So this is some really fun stuff. Why he joined Kiss as a tour replacement for Ace Frehley. That's sort of correct, although not really because he came in to make the album.
Yeah.
But this is just kind of fun to read what a dipshit was that wrote this. What else we got here? How he met Kiss while they were writing songs for Creatures of the Night. Vinnie joined up and even wrote 3 songs: I Still Love You, I Love It Loud, and Killer.
Technically, Adam Mitchell introduced them.
Very factual bio, though. I just really.
That's the whole bio.
I had to show it. Yeah. What do you want, man? You want like 3 pages?
Remember the Kiss bios in 16 magazine in the 70s?
You do.
I have some. I always thought it was cool. Like Ace's favorite food, pizza and beer. I used to go think, that's cool.
That's Ace, right? Just honest.
Pizza and beer. What you got there?
Paul would be like some kind of seafood and wine, and Ace is just honest.
Pizza and beer.
This is some other. I haven't noticed anything, but I'll check it out. Anyway, you go ahead with whatever you're.
Oh yeah, Vinnie. So in the 60s, he's in a band. And they're kind of like the Rascals, you know, and that ties into a band he was in later on. Mm-hmm. So he's in and out of bands in Bridgeport, ends up moving to Brooklyn, and hooks up with this guy named Felix Cavalier, who was in, guess what, the Rascals. Everyone knows Good Love and Groove and songs like that. So he's in a band called Treasure, and this was his first like notable album he was on.
Yeah.
He wrote and sang 2 songs on it. They're actually not bad songs. From there, he played with Dan Hartman. Everyone has seen the videos on YouTube. Pretty silly stuff. So at this point, it's like the late 70s. He hasn't really been in like any kind of hard rock bands whatsoever. In the early 80s, he actually wrote some songs for the TV show Happy Days. And it's
Vernon Shirley. Also, I mean, he's connected with that whole
and Joni Loves Chachi as well.
Yeah.
From what I read, he used to write songs in the Cunningham's living room at their table.
Really?
Isn't that cool or what?
Just whipping it up right on the spot, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The thing I read also said, Vinnie said those were genuinely happy days. And Happy Days was in quotes.
Nice.
But that's cool.
That's more factual than my bio, right?
Very. Yeah. So, but then he's also writing songs with this guy named Adam Mitchell. And Adam Mitchell happens to be also writing songs with Gene and Paul. And
Bryan Adams.
Yeah, and a light bulb goes off above Adam's head, hey, I should get Vinny to write songs with Gene and Paul. Sure enough, that's what happens. And Vinny's talent right away knocks these guys out. I mean, they write I Love It Loud, songs like that, so Satan Sinner, things like that. And so, next thing you know, there were rehearsing guitar players trying to find Ace's replacement. There are guys there the whole time. Our man Vinny joins the band.
The reason why they're still looking for guitar players and they're really not sure about Vinny and Lick It Up is because, supposedly right away, Paul was always very leery of him. Paul was always skeptical of him and didn't trust him, So right off the bat, maybe both of them were a bit apprehensive. And I guess they were warned by multiple people, be careful. Mm-hmm. But Paul in particular, and maybe Paul just kind of said this in retrospect, but it sounds like he really was kind of skeptical of him from the start.
Yeah. And Vinny at the time was in a band called Warrior. And let's connect this to Kiss. Warrior were members of a band that broke up, but called New England, who Paul produced
yeah.
along with Mike Stone. You might know from your Queen records. Mm-hmm. So there's your connection there. Paul produced New England breaks up, become Warrior. Vinny joins that band. And Vinny, of course, brings all his songs to the band. And they actually recently released an album, re-released an album of demos. Pretty good. Check it out. That's on YouTube too.
Yeah, it's called Warrior 2 or something like that.
Yeah. And a lot of the songs on there's a song called I Need Love, which you'll recognize right away as being, that's Shoot You Full of Love by Vinnie Vincent Invasion, but also Boys Are Gonna Rock took a lot from that song. No, excuse me. I get mixed up with these Warrior songs. Wait,
It's the other song. What's the other song called? I Need Love is a song that Kiss did try, I guess, for Lick It Up. They tried it. I don't know if they demoed it or whatever, but it just didn't.
They liked the candy cane line, though.
It didn't stick at the time. Yeah. Yeah. Break My Candy Cane turned into, come on, lick my candy cane.
Whoa. It's getting dirty around here.
But what's the other song?
Yeah. Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Boys Are Gonna Rock had half of the verses are Eighth Day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Boys Are Gonna Rock and
Different
Eighth Day
lyrics,
are better as two separate songs for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a great build up to that.
They're
chorus.
both good songs on their own, but together, no.
Yeah.
No. So he's in Warrior, but then, Kiss, they have a tour to do and they need a guitar player, so they hire Vinny. Technically, he was never official member of Kiss because he didn't sign any contract. He refused to.
He refused to, and that's really what you hear, but we never really hear how come they didn't offer him a little bit more. And maybe they didn't want him that bad. You know what I mean? Maybe it was like, well, if you're not going to take what we're given.
I think he wanted an equal share, which is kind of ridiculous.
An equal share, yeah.
You can't just join
Eric wasn't getting that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then plus you give Vinny that, then Eric's going to expect it, and to keep up public appearances though, they have to have 4 guys, in the band. So Vinny, he's in the band, but he's not. You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't sign a contract, and they start the Lick It Up tour. They started in, I think it was Germany. I want to say Germany. No, Portugal. And there's footage of this, and like he was talking about earlier, they are running. You watch that footage; they are everywhere on that stage. They're not held down by 15-pound platform shoes. Yeah, it is insane how much they're running around.
And they're also just trying to make up for the lack of the parts of the show that are missing. Mm-hmm. It has been noted that on the first show, Gene spit blood. And on the second show, he did it the first show, I guess, and said, nah, that didn't really work.
I don't know if that's factual. I don't know if he actually did.
Yeah.
No one's been able to prove that. So,
you heard that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that from a pretty reputable book, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's possible he did.
But either way, he was thinking, what will work now? He tried Fire, and I guess it felt right. And there's in one of these magazines I have, maybe one of these ones back here, he even said, who knows, as the group evolves, I may or may not do Fire in the future, who knows? So they were just figuring out what to do,
Yeah, he stuck with the Fire. That's a good thing. So yeah, they start the tour. You know, same stage as Creatures, the Tank.
Tank, yeah.
And I think that's cool. I mean, you know.
Heck yeah! I
They're
mean,
the
a
same
lot of
band.
those stages in the '70s, you know, you got this there, do a little add-on to it. You got the '77 stage, and you know.
Plus, the Creatures tour never went across the pond, so none of these people have ever seen it.
Yeah.
And then they were probably figuring hardly anybody even seen the Creatures tour in the States. Hardly anyone came to the shows, so why not use the same stage? Plus, let's face it, they needed to save some money at the time.
I mean, it's financial, especially if you didn't do very good on that tour, and if you lost it all or came close to losing. If you didn't profit what you thought you were going to profit, you need to make it work. So, you know, they brought the stage,
and last but not least, it's a fucking badass stage.
I also think it's cool that it crosses over, like, you know, that whole, like, it's still Kiss, dude. Yeah, there's still Kiss, like they talked all the time.
Yeah.
Well, we're still Kiss.
Yeah,
and
see? That's the crossover right there, the tongue.
Yeah.
That connects it to the past.
Not just the tongue, but, like, the necklace.
Yeah, yes.
He's got the necklace,
The
and
choker.
then he's got a little onkish cross
The
here.
mannequin does.
What's that?
The mannequin.
The mannequin. Yeah, man. And I, you know, also when you look at this too, it's very black and dark and contrasty with the white background, obviously on purpose to just pop and just be like, bam, here we are now.
And by the way,
Paul's got a watch on.
this
It's
is
gold.
This is not a true group photo. These are individual shots put together.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Paul is always the one that wanted to take it off first, so he's wearing just, you know, street watch. Probably a Rolodex.
Paul said it was just the street clothes they were in that day. They happened
Maybe.
to travel with a mannequin as well, apparently. No, we're just kidding, people.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't really think that's a mannequin. At least I don't.
Yeah. I don't know.
We do know it's a wig, though, because Paul has said it in... I think Vinny's even said
They
it.
thought his hair was flat. They didn't like his hair.
Paul's quote was, he had hair like the Gerber baby.
Man, Paul really disliked him.
Anyway, Mean Mr. Mustard, right?
In one of Paul's books, he's like, Vinny was ugly and embarrassing. It was like, man, he really cuts loose on Vinny.
Yeah.
Of course, Vinny sued him like 6 times, so
Yeah, that might have something to do with
that
it.
might have something to do with it. Yeah.
Okay, so the tour is going on. It was quite the success. Apparently, in some of the shows over there, they were billed as makeup shows. So apparently when they would come out without makeup, the crowd was just like,
Who's
"Whoa."
this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was actually some who's this. You know.
Yeah. But, you know, by all accounts, the shows were a huge success. So the tour's going great overseas, and when I say going great, I mean attendance-wise and show-wise, but there is a problem. They're getting a little sick of Vinny and his long solos. And so he essentially was fired after the European tour. Mm-hmm. But because they still had an American tour to do, I don't know the exact logistics of everything, but Vinny was back in the band.
Well, they called after they fired him. They had a little bit of time between legs, and they called Ozzy, and Ozzy connected them with, I guess, Dina Strum, and said, you know, he said to Ozzy, "Where do you find your guitar players?" And supposedly Dina Strum, in a quote I read from Dina Strum, said, "You're not going to find anybody as good as Vinny, or anybody who'll fit, or something like that." And they ended up hiring Vinny back reluctantly.
So
I
Dana
guess.
was Team Vinny from the very beginning.
It wasn't later.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vinny's back in the band. I think it was like a ticking time bomb, though. His time was going to be up. They just needed him to finish off the tour. Which leads me into story number 1. Okay, gather around the campfire,
Let's
kids.
hear it. Let's hear it. I got some marshmallows.
Okay. So, as I said, the tour continues in the States. So, about 12 years ago, I took guitar lessons from Steve Lynch of Autograph. I was in a band. I won't go too deep into the why of this whole thing, but I was in a band. I was the lead guitar player of the band. I wasn't really a natural born lead guitar player. I wanted to learn how to play better lead guitar. Heard Steve Lynch he lives in this area.
How did he teach? Did he just turn up the radio? Oh!
He had a little, there was like a business complex in Federal Way.
Yeah.
And Pamela Moore did vocal things there.
Queensryche.
Yes. So I start taking guitar lessons from Steve Lynch. And, you know, I went there with the serious intention to get better as a lead guitar player. I literally had no clue about what I was going to find out.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't like, not at the time anyway, I wasn't like some big autograph fan or anything. You know, I thought, yeah, I like Turn Up the Radio, you know. I ended up kind of getting into him after that.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
So, but, so we're talking, and I think he was talking about the Guitar Institute that he used to, I believe he taught there. I know he went there too, down in LA.
Yeah.
And I think I remember something about Mark St. John going there, so I mentioned, like, hey, did you ever know Mark St. John? And he goes, oh, Paul Stanley wanted me to be in Kiss. And imagine me sitting there and just have my guitar. I'm like, what? Because this was not known, like, at all. Like,
With like your Kiss shirt on and your membership card in your wallet.
Exactly. This was not a known thing. You know, I've read every Kiss book in existence. Nobody knew this.
Yeah.
So I was like, do tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's the story. And I hope I get it exactly right, but I might be off on a few
He
small
was one
details.
of the calls that...
Well, okay, so a little autograph history. They opened most of Van Halen's 1984 tour, which started...
That would be a good tour to be on. Holy shit.
Which started January 22nd, 1984 in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, the reason Autograph got the gig was because their drummer, Kenny Richards, was David Lee Roth's running partner. They would run.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Strange, I know, but... So, you know, apparently one of those times, Kenny was like, hey, Dave, check out my band.
Running with the devil.
Autograph.
Oh!
Autograph, by
Had to do it.
the way, they weren't like a real band. They were guys from other bands who just got together to jam, and it started to sound good. And Kenny gave Dave a tape, and Dave was like, "This is really good. Why don't you open up a 1984 tour?"
Oh, really?
Now they didn't even have a name. They were just guys jamming, drinking beers. So they literally thought of the name as they're in their van driving to this all the way to Florida to play this first gig. So anyway, long story short. If I remember correctly, Steve Lynch said it was the very night of the first gig.
Really?
Yeah. So that would have been January 22nd, 1984. Paul Stanley called him up.
If Steve knew what was going on in Europe at that point. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But early on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, well, Paul Stanley probably told him, like,
No
hey,
internet back.
like, we're looking for a new guitar player. We heard you're the hot new guy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Dana told him about him. Who knows?
See? Yep.
Yeah. Grover Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
All connected.
here's the thing, though. Steve Lynch said, well, Paul, we just signed to... Oh, by the way, they had literally just signed to... Was it Atlantic? I think it was Atlantic, but it was some...
This is a big one, yeah.
Maybe it was MCA. I don't know. It was some major label. Like, I think Steve said that very day. So he told Paul, like, hey, we just signed this contract. We're on the Van Halen tour. Like, I got to say no.
Yeah.
He told me Paul was pissed.
Really?
He just flat out said Paul was pissed.
Wow.
So Steve Lynch passed up being in Kiss. Now, if you know anything about Autograph and Steve Lynch, you would know Steve Lynch is a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah.
So that little tidbit I repeated to Mitch LaFawn, and he ended up asking Steve about it. And Steve, of course, yeah, that happened. That's true. So if it's out there at all in the press right now, and I don't think it is, but I heard it first, and I ended up telling Mitch LaFawn. I actually told Dale Sherman as well. You might have one of his Kiss books, Black Diamond.
Oh, yeah.
He said he would include that in as an update, and if he ever updated Black Diamond.
Cool.
But other than that, it's not really known knowledge. So after that guy giving me guitar lessons was the guy who was almost in Kiss, and I even said, like, they didn't even ask you to, like, audition or anything. He goes, no, they just wanted me in the band then. So
Well, come be on tour. At least do the tour.
yeah, so they were actively looking while Vinnie was playing shows with them.
You know, I just had a thought when you were talking about Steve possibly coming and being in the group or doing the tour or whatever.
He had the right hair.
Oh yeah, had the big.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had to
Jr.
put a wig on him.
They wouldn't have had to put a wig. A pink sweater though. You probably Probably need the pink sweater and the cucumber. So maybe not. Maybe he has a natural cucumber.
It wasn't Gerber baby hair. Let's put it that way.
So I wanted to say it just struck me when you were talking like Kiss could have said, because Eddie Van Halen obviously changed things, and everybody was doing eruption and doing tapping, and he just changed guitar from the late 70s and on. So it was this new school of guitar players where people say it negatively these days sometimes, shredders, and it's like, I love shredding. You know what I mean? I also love like some old Eric Clapton too, but you know what I mean? Like if they just had somebody in the group, what I'm saying is there's a bunch of people they could have had in the group, but Vinnie was a shredder, you could call him, but he was so original in his own thing. You know what I mean? His tone and the way he played. Sometimes he'll just go into these nasty like chromatic little run to get from one place to another. People say that he just shreds, blah, blah, blah. But, dude, he plays a lot of long notes. Yeah. And his vibrato is amazing. It's all about right hand, how you pluck in, how you dig into the string. He was a master of his tone. So I'm just saying, like, they could have had a lot of shredders at the time, but even though it didn't work out in the long run, thank God they had Vinnie for what they did on Creatures and Lick It Up to make this album so special, because I gotta say, nobody really sounds like Vinnie. You know what I mean? You hear a little bit of, you almost hear a little bit of like pre-Slayer in how aggressive his whammy action is. He's really aggressive, you know? And when he's going up a run too, and he's doing alternating picking fast or whatever, he is really aggressive. He's really digging in the strings. He's just like a monster on lead guitar, you know? So thank God they had him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, huge talent. No one's ever denied that.
Everybody wanted to be in the group. It was SIR. They were trying out like 50 guitar players.
Yeah.
So.
And and Paul's asking Steve Lynch, and Steve Lynch was known as like one of the best guitar players on the scene. Like, so they knew they had to follow Vinnie with somebody good. Mm-hmm. And on the subject of what you were just talking about, how Vinnie wasn't just a shredder, I remember a quote from Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden, of all people. Because Vinnie Vincent Invasion toured with Iron Maiden.
That's right. Yeah.
He said, and I think it was Adrian Smith, somebody in Iron Maiden, but I think it was him. He said he walked backstage and Vinnie was back there and he had his guitar plugged in. He was playing like these Jeff Beck licks just perfectly. Mm-hmm. And he said he remembered thinking, he plays like this? Why is he playing that fast crap on stage? Like, you know what I mean?
Because he just happened to work into this circuit where, you know what I mean? You meet this person, and then you're doing it. But that doesn't mean that's all you can do. You know, I've heard he could shred out some fusion licks and stuff, and you hear it in his runs sometimes. He's not just going up and down, the bass, the minor, and it's not just minor pentatonic. He's working up some interesting modes in there. He does some cool stuff on his video. I think I have a original VHS copy of his, what is his guitar video called?
His tutorial?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's good. It's cool.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah. So he was really an incredible guitar player,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Now, from what I understand, there's not a lot of video of it released. He just shreds. It's like, no, give us more than that. We know you can do it. You know what I mean? We know you can do it.
He's trying to like we're talking about Creatures Fest and stuff. He's trying to make a spectacle, and he's getting up there, and it's all whammy bar and pretty much really, really fast runs.
But we get it. You can do that. And yes, you're good at it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, but everybody has their heyday. And to me, this is his heyday. And what a great balance. What a great time, too. This is before everybody had a whole stack of rack mount stuff for their amp. You know what I mean? Like a Mostel amp and a whole bunch of separate reverb, all just a bunch of rack mount shit. This is back when people just plugged in a Marshall, or in this case, a Laney. And it was, he had a more natural tones up at this in the early 80s. You know what I mean? So, on that note, we were talking. Did you ever look into it all? I was trying to figure out what Vinnie played on this album, and I'd actually like to know if anyone out there knows. I'm kind of interested what he got his sound with on this album, because you can hear that Lick It Up guitar tone.
Dave Whitman would know.
Dave Whitman would know.
The fifth member.
Is he around?
Yeah.
He is?
He's alive.
They used...
Dave Whitman, if you're watching, get hold of us. Why would he watch this?
His sound of his solos and stuff are so passionate, and it's such a cool tone and brings this energy so much that even when Kiss was fucking hating him during Exposed, they used his, they used his like a, from like, what's it from? Fits Like a Glove or Young and Wasted or something. They go into the tapes and they pull out some of his little guitar licks and use those between the scenes in Exposed.
True.
And they hated him at that point.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So we've been talking a lot about his guitar playing. Songwriting is one of his, I think, one of the things he's best at. I mean, that's what he was doing basically before Kiss, writing songs.
Yeah.
Wrote a top 40 hit for John Waite. Peter Criss recorded it, Tears. Yeah, he's a great songwriter. He wrote in the Cunningham living room. That's enough said. I think that was, well, it's hard to say. Songwriting, guitar playing, what was the strongest attribute in the band? It's like, he wrote 8 songs on this album.
Had a part of 8 songs.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Lick It Up is the big hit, and that's why this tour maybe it didn't do phenomenal, but it did better than Creatures. And so they're like, okay, we're on to something. But Lick It Up was basically Vinnie's song. I've never really heard a Vinnie demo of it.
I've heard demos of it, but Paul's on them.
Yeah, it's a Kiss demo though.
Yeah.
But I've never really heard, it wasn't Warrior, it was written after that probably, but it's such a simple song. And it's not really my favorite song on the album. The Deep Kiss fans, it's not most of our favorite songs on the album, but it is a very simple song that just sets up this verse and graduates to this big sing-along chorus. Mm-hmm. And he's a musician, and obviously as we've talked, he's a very accomplished musician. In here he's writing this dun 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 dun, you know what I mean? Because he knows how to write a good solid pop song if he wants. So I think it's kind of interesting that he is known to be a shredder, but he also knows how to put together a good, simple commercial song.
And Lick It Up, would you even call that a guitar solo? I mean,
yeah, it's just a little thing.
It's the most simple song I think I've ever heard, and I don't mean that as a knock on it either. Sometimes it's all it takes.
Yeah,
a beginner could play that song.
Riding that A or whatever it is. I guess I've never.
How come Dr. Love never did that? It's so simple. Or did we?
We did Lick It Up.
Did we? We did it.
Yeah, we did.
It's so simple, I forgot it.
Yeah, we had a tribute. And we mentioned this. I don't know if we mentioned this in our early videos, but we had a tribute for a while.
I've mentioned it a few times. Yeah.
And we did Lick It Up, and it's a fun. It's a crowd pleaser. You can see why they still do it. They still do it basically because we did it. You know what I mean?
I do like. Did we do it live like Kiss does? Oh, we did. We did like the Who thing in it. Didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we did a little bit of the Who.
Yeah, did we do the extra riff in the beginning too?
I don't think we did that.
Oh,
I don't remember if we did, but
we did. I remember. I think we broke it down into the Who thing.
Looking at this album cover, I realized we forgot to talk about Fidel Sassoon. What's his name?
Bernard
Vidal. He did this shoot, and he also did Super Kiss. He did the back of Animalize. He did Creatures, I think. So he did a bunch of cool stuff around this time with Kiss.
I like those people, like their name is just associated with different Kiss projects. Like a Whitman. Like a Dave Whitman.
We keep calling him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. So should we go do the track by track?
Sure.
Okay, so Exciter starts things out.
Oh, we never talked about the second video.
Oh.
So when the tour is going on, All Hell's Breaking Loose comes out, and there's more girls eating food.
Same director, Marty Kahan.
You got to have hot girls eating food. I mean,
and there's fighting, swords, fencing, or whatever you call it. Jousting, is that what it's called?
Yeah, and there's like freaks. There's like dudes walking in stilts and stuff.
A cool video. And the coolest part of the video is the end when they're walking like they're badasses because they are. Mm-hmm. And it's just basically their silhouettes. And the guy runs up behind Gene like he's gonna attack, and Gene just like
yeah. At the start of the video, Gene's eating a big piece of chicken or something.
I think it's just a piece of raw meat. Well, it's supposed to be, yeah.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Big piece of chicken.
And it's pre-wasp, right? So
true.
Totally.
True.
Yeah. So that was really cool. The song didn't really do that much.
No, it didn't even chart.
My personal story with it is going to school. I lived in Graham. My mom would drive me over to Spanaway, and I would go to Elk Plain.
I went to Elk Plain.
You did?
Yep.
See, we're connected. You know. So you were probably the one that
Of course, I went there
scratched
20
kiss
years.
into
I
the
went there
desk.
20 years before you.
Whatever, like 3 years.
You seen the desk I scratched kiss forever?
I'm guessing you probably did. When I went to high school over here, it actually said Trower Rules in one of the desks. Serious.
Oh,
I mean,
my
that
God.
is, you know,
Just Trower
so
Rules.
fast times. That is so fast times. Trower Rules.
That's funny.
Anyways, what was I saying?
Wow.
What was it? Do you remember what I was saying?
Elk Plain.
Yeah. So being dropped off to school at Elk Plain, and I was in. So this is like, it was released as a video and like in a single in like what, early '84.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was 11. So I'm being dropped off, and I heard it, and this guy's playing. He says, "New song from Kiss, blah blah blah," and it was the first song that I think I heard where in the car. It's the first song I heard from Kiss where I realized that's Kiss, because I think I'd seen pictures with makeup.
So you're like, Kiss is a rap band?
You know what I mean? My family probably had the People's Magazine sitting around, but I just didn't understand what it was, you know. So that's the first song that I heard and for myself and went, oh, that's pretty cool. Because I think All Hell's Breaking Loose is pretty badass, you know.
All heck's breaking loose.
All heck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soft ears.
Yep, soft ears. But yeah, very cool video. I love the girls eating as usual. And then is that the one where there's kind of a food fight and they're feeding each other, or is that Lick It Up?
That's Lick It Up.
That's Lick It Up. This one has Paul's reddish French jacket,
Yeah.
which I love. He should have wore that more.
Yeah, and again, there's cool footage of them playing, and Vinny's doing cool stuff.
And he's got his pink Randy Rhoads V.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, there's one part where he's playing it, and he just goes like this.
Yeah.
It's like, what is...
You know, it didn't work
Who's
out.
he pointing at?
It didn't work out, but he had it. He had the attitude. He had the right attitude. He had the right attitude so much that I think that they kind of wanted him to see Madonna. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he had no problem like pointing at people and getting on his knees and just getting nuts.
Yeah.
And you know, Paul and Gene are probably thinking that's what we do. You know, I mean, you know, and I think Bruce really got it. Bruce is like, I'm back here playing, and when they want me to come up for a solo, that's when I'm going to come up for a solo, because.
Right.
It really was Gene and Paul's group at this point. And even when I got into them, I kind of realized it, because there's things happening where there's big hints that it's Gene and Paul's group and some shirts that I have and stuff like that. But I was rooting for him, you know what I mean? Because I didn't care. I just thought the music was great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay, so I just had a...
Exciter.
Okay, there'll be a cut there. Yeah, no, we talked about Exciter. Oh, no, we hadn't talked about Exciter. Okay, so the album starts off with Exciter. So I was thinking of this, Peter.
Yes, Jason?
Kiss know how to start off an album. Think of these in a row. The Oath, Creatures of the Night, Exciter, I've Had Enough. And you can keep going. You can say King of the Mountain.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
we're
King
going to
of the
stop
Mountain.
there, though. We're going to stop there.
I think Rise to It's a great start.
Yeah, but what's between that Crazy Nights and...
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, that's a big anthem.
I'm just saying, between The Elder and Asylum, you cannot beat the songs Kiss chose to start an
Yeah,
album.
all those. Detroit Rock City, all of them.
And I have to say, Creatures are probably my favorite, but Exciter and The Oath, those are right up there. And speaking of Exciter and The Oath, Exciter kind of borrows that kind of galloping riff. But great opener sung by Paul. And okay, let's talk about it. Vinny did not play the solo. Everyone knows now it was Rick Derringer.
So he did a solo. You know, you can hear it on the tour, because this song and other songs that other guys did, he didn't really care to learn their solos. And in this case, he probably was like, fuck that solo, because I had done a solo, and Gene and Paul brought in Derringer, and
Or Michael did one, yeah.
they didn't really tell Vinny it was going to happen, but in retrospect, he says, I guess they didn't like my solo. But I did.
Yeah. Oh,
Rick Derringer's solo is...
yeah, Rick Derringer's solo is perfect.
Yeah.
I love the part right before the Derringer part, with the really low notes, you know, and then the Derringer part comes. Just great. Kiss always have cool parts to their songs. Such cool parts. We're gonna get to more of that. There's other moments like that on this record. So Exciter, hey, thumbs up from me.
Exciter is absolutely great. I mean, Exciter is just like this gallop, up-tempo gallop, And I just kind of can't believe Paul rocked so hard on it.
Yeah, it's
we know him
amazing.
as the guy that does Heaven and stuff like that too. But man, he really, what a great album starter.
Yes, yeah. If you bought this like Kiss Without Makeup, let's hear how this sounds, like it's gonna be any different. But you put on that first track, you're like, yes, right on.
And this is an occasion where, like, in the press, the album really did get good reviews. For the most part, it got really good reviews. And
well, now that they didn't wear makeup, they knew how to write good songs.
and it all worked out because everyone liked the tour did pretty good. Like, the fans bought the album. I mean, the album outsold Creatures in 2 days, I guess. That's a fact. It outsold Creatures.
It probably shipped more than Creatures sold.
Well, yeah, of course, there's those politics, but
Yeah.
but basically,
I know
it outsold Creatures within first 2 days.
It went gold in a couple months, and
Yeah.
it went platinum like 7 years later or something.
Yeah.
But apparently Paul has called it double platinum at this point, so who knows? But it definitely was a pretty decent seller for them. And let's face it, there are 2 albums that are so monumental and important in Kiss's career. Alive, and then of course this, because this saved them. You know, what saved Kiss? This album. And yes, Vinnie did have a big part in that. But this album, they were down in the dumps, and they needed something to bring them up, and it was Lick It Up. It was Lick It Up.
And needed something to bring them up.
So yeah, this monumental album, very important. So I'm going to let you talk about this next song because it is very special to you.
Yeah, it's just one of my very favorites.
Like,
as is track 2 on Creatures. I feel like a lot of albums put the band's real favorite song second because it may or may not be the track 1, but track 1 has to be there because it's an opener with an opener feel. And Not For The Instant is just great. It's creepy. It's just a Gene pace, and I just love it. You know,
Great lyrics.
Shred Gene vocal.
Yeah, yeah. Not For The Innocent. I mean, I wish they would have did that. They've never done that live. Never. Great song.
Yeah, I don't think they have on a cruise or anything.
And co-written with Vinnie, so he's already got 2 co-writes, first 2 songs. So Lick It Up would be next. We talked a lot about Lick It Up already. I think Vinnie wrote the bulk of the song. Paul added his flourishes to it.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Obvious first single and title track. Great. I mean, I like it. It's great. I've heard it a million times.
Yeah, you heard a lot.
Yeah.
It's very major, and you kind of know where it's going. There's not any surprises, but it's not supposed to be that kind of song. It's not prog rock. They're going for a hit single, and they totally did it. You know?
Yeah, and apparently it was on the radio a lot. I wouldn't really know that because, unfortunately, up here in Seattle, radio is always ignored Kiss, I think. Don't you kind of feel that way? Kiss,
Yeah.
they're not a huge band in Seattle as far as radio is concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll play, you know, the Coliseum or something, and, you know, they'll fill it up or get it close, but as far as radio is concerned, radio's never embraced them here. So I personally never really heard Lick It Up on the radio.
Yeah.
So-
It's just a great pop tune in that it gets to that chorus really quick. You know what I mean? It just gets to that chorus. It doesn't waste any time getting to that chorus, and that's what you need on radio, you know, like that. So
Yeah, and the song's loosely based on sex, so that's always good too.
really?
That's
Sex?
from what I've heard.
God, I've never heard any Kiss songs based on that. I don't know. That's kind
Yeah. So,
So Vinnie brought the song to Paul
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
he probably figured Paul would sing it. Paul wasn't sure if he liked it, kind of turned him down like, nah, I don't know. And then I guess he took it to Gene. Gene liked it, said take it back to Paul. In the meantime, maybe Gene called Paul, or I don't know, but Paul said, yeah, let's use it. So,
Okay, now I've heard that story more than once.
yeah.
But I've also heard in Paul's book, actually, that he said him and Vinnie wrote that in Paul's apartment or whatever. So he might be talking about that's where they refined it and made it what it is.
Yeah. Maybe he said, let's do it. Let's work on it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah, Lick It Up. Good song. Yeah, if I had to say, it's probably my least favorite on the album, but that's only because I've heard it a million and one times.
I was at a show. It was a show at the club where I work, actually, and this guy, he was just playing rock records between bands, doing a DJ thing, and he brought the Lick It Up album, and I saw it, and I was going to come up next because he was sitting in the front there. I was like, "Are you going to play something from Lick It Up?" You know, and I'm thinking he's going to play something really awesome. He played Lick It Up ironically, you know, so. It's a pop hit. It's what it is, you know. And I said, are you a fan of the rest of that album? He says, I don't know. I think it's okay. I could tell he's never really tried.
One of them.
But I always tell people, if you take Lick It Up off of Lick It Up, holy shit, so good. And Lick It Up is great too, but
Yeah. But you take Lick It Up off Lick It Up, and the album's probably not called Lick It Up anymore.
that's true. Yeah. Really. It's called On the 8th Day.
Okay, so next up would be one of my, and I think you too, our favorite non-makeup Kiss songs. One of them. If you go back, people, and please watch it because it's not one of our best viewed videos. Our non-makeup top 20. I believe Young and Wasted was my number one. And if it wasn't, I'm telling you right now, it should have been.
We'll redo it. We'll redo it for you.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think I might have.
We might have to just to get views on that one.
Because I think Not for the Innocent was yours, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Saint and Sinner?
It was Saint. There was in my top two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Young and Wasted might have been my favorite non-makeup Kiss song because I'm telling you right now, it's definitely up there near the top.
That is some heavy shit.
Oh, I love that song.
And
Gene's
Eric's
vocals.
Yeah, and then Eric sings it on Animalize.
Well, yeah, they let Eric sing it live.
It's cool that it's on that.
I would have to. I mean, yeah, they were throwing Eric a bone. He went from his drum solo into singing that, so it was like this little Eric spotlight. But at the same time, if Gene sang that every night, I think he'd throw his voice out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we were gonna have some sound bites for this because there's just points in this album where it's so amazing. You almost just need to hear it. Some of Gene's performances, Vinny's solos, Paul's vocals, and I couldn't get my computer to take my CD drive is just way too old. So I had some trouble there, but we're just gonna explain it, right? We can explain it so well they'll be able to feel the
viewers like Brandon will be like, I want to hear that now. So Brandon will put it on.
We gotta throw out our favorites. Brandon, Jen.
Oh come on, you don't do that because you're gonna forget somebody.
Yeah, totally. So Young and Wasted, amazing. Gene's vocals. I mean, they let Eric sing it later, and Eric did great. I like it, but Gene's vocals on the album, holy shit.
I can almost taste it. Man.
Amazing, you know.
Young and Wasted is the best Kiss song to crank up. Put that CD in your car.
Oh my god,
turn that up.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect instance where Vinny is showing that he's not just a shredder. He's doing a lot of long notes where he soaks that vibrato like nobody else can, you know.
Yeah.
That's great, you know.
Yeah, we have Young and Wasted's my favorite track from the album. I'm just going to throw that out there now.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is a song loosely based on sex.
Really?
I call this pornographic speed rock, right? Pornographic speed rock, wouldn't you say?
Speed rock.
They liked the song so much they actually performed it throughout the whole tour. Talking about Give Me More, obviously. Paul and Vinny wrote the song.
And it touches on chords from a Warrior song, or they just use some words from
No,
it,
they
or
used
what?
the candy cane line.
Just lyrically, there's some things borrowed.
Yeah. Definitely fast tempo. The highlight of this song to me, though, is Eric's drumming. Oh my God. You, the viewer and listener of the show, put it on and just concentrate on those drums. Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, how was Eric not known as one of the best drummers of the 80s?
I was just thinking that this week, probably because I've been digging into this era, but he's almost unfaltering. You know what I mean? And he has groove, he has consistency, he has great tone. They got so lucky finding him. You know, there might be a great drummer here or there, and but their snare sounds like bang, bang, or he just had it. He had the whole tone thing worked out. It's not just in the studio with somebody getting his drum sound for him either. Live, his drums always sound great live. His tempo.
Played a little fast live sometimes.
Yeah, but they didn't play to...
It was the 80s.
Gene wanted to do that too. Gene wanted to always play fast too. Paul would say that about Gene in his first book. But his tempo, his consistency of tempo, his consistency of feel, it's just really amazing what that little guy could do. I mean, he wasn't a huge dude. He was powerhouse, and he was just really, really good. And he shines on Creatures, Lick It Up, Asylum, Animalize.
Yeah, he's amazing. And what a human being, too. Great guy.
Yeah.
Give Me More, great song. I mean, so far you've got 5 winners, you know.
For me, there's no losers.
No, there's not.
You know what I mean, really.
There's not.
Yeah.
So what kicks off side 2?
So we get all those breaking loose.
Soft Ears.
Yep, soft. All heck's breaking loose.
All right, that's more like it.
which is an Eric song. Basically, he wrote pretty much all the music.
Okay, here's some trivia for you. 3 Kiss songs have been written by all 4 members. All Hell's Breaking Loose being one of them.
Uh-huh.
What are the other 2?
Love Theme.
Love Theme.
And what else?
And the other one is so random.
I don't know the other one.
Right now, there's people yelling this at the TV screen.
Somebody who knows. Who is
Back to the Stone Age from Monster.
Is everybody? Oh,
Yeah.
see, I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
I like the album.
I
but-
wouldn't have either till I read it. But,
Also, this is the first Kiss album where there's no outside songwriting at all. It's all just these 4 guys. The first Kiss album.
True. Well, Vinnie was an outside songwriter they just let be in the band.
Well, at this point he was in the band. He just hadn't signed his contract.
True.
But as Vinny would put it, all in-house songwriting.
So all heck's breaking loose.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, no.
That has to do with the
talent.
the consistency overall throughout the songs.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they had this hard rock album and then they had this one, I Was Made for Loving You, because this other dude helped write it. It's like, no, there was definitely a consistency of feel within the songs, you know, so.
Also, I want to mention really quick, Paul plays bass on Give Me More.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all heck's breaking loose. That was the 2nd single. We've talked about the video. Does Paul rap in it? What do you think?
I think it's rappy. I think it's
Okay.
rap-ish.
All right.
Supposedly Eric didn't really like the rap thing at first, but you know, and I the funny thing is I noticed this week on Wikipedia the song is the genre that the song falls in is rap rock. Isn't that funny?
Oh man.
But Eric would admit later that it turned out really good.
Yeah, Eric wanted like a Kashmir type of Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
He came up with the riff, and the rest of the band took it and added their touches. Next thing you know,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
It's a simpler pace.
Yeah, they did it live. There's a version on the Nashville show, and they did it live sporadically throughout the rest of the tour. Good song. You know, again, still all winners here in my book.
Yeah.
Okay, so up next, we got the power ballad of the album. Still rocks.
Yeah, it is a rock song. I guess I
Yeah.
never realized that until recently. It is pretty balladish.
It is.
Nobody could sing that song and have it be a ballad and have it personally get my respect like it does, but Paul.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah, great song. 1,000,000 to 1 is what we're talking about. Co-written with Vinnie, of course. Yeah, I mean, this would probably be a song that most people would say should have been a single.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
If there would have been a 3rd single, I think this would have been it. Yeah. Who knows? You know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it's a great song. I got to see Paul do that on the Live to Win tour, along with Wouldn't You Like to Know Me. So yeah,
It's great, but it doesn't have that sing-along chorus like "Lick It Up" or "Oh Hell's Breaking Loose." You know, it doesn't have that kind of a chorus.
yeah, but
it's a really great, well-written song.
It could get the girls wet though. That's
Indeed, it gets me wet. You know.
Whoa!
My cucumber springs a leak. No, it's a great tune. It's a little darker. It's that kind of dark, steamy Paul vibe, you know. The Tears Are Falling vibe a little bit.
It's a good song. It sets a good mood.
Yeah.
I will call it my least favorite song on the album. Or did I say Lick It Up was? It's my least favorite on side 2.
You're a bad boy.
I know.
You are.
It's still good though. There's not a bad track on the song.
Yeah, it really paces really well too. You know, in the verses, it's got those chords ringing out. You know, I've talked before about how Paul will get a kind of a busy riff going on the verses, sing over it, his chorus explodes in a different way, and Gene will have like these just straight chords, whole notes hanging. You know, and then it kind of Gene's songs pace on this kind of like this strutty groove thing, you know what I mean? And this, he's got those chords ringing out for 2 bars. Like those chords are really pacing it really slow until it goes through, and just it's very melodic, you know, the way it is. But
yeah, and we should mention, let's see, 1,000,000 to 1. I think even Lick It Up, of all songs, were inspired lyrically by his breakup with Donna Dixon. Bosom buddies, people. And the reason Donna broke up with him is Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. So if anybody asks you what Lick It Up has to do with Ghostbusters, now you know.
Yeah.
So
And why Paul didn't go to see the Coneheads.
yeah, I think Paul.
Or was Dan Aykroyd in the Coneheads?
Yeah, he was.
I thought
He's the main dude.
Totally,
Jane Curtin. Too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Million to One, good song. So next we have a song that is loosely based on sex.
Sex again?
It's what I've heard.
I had no
It's
idea.
what I've heard.
I just
Fits
Soft
like a
ears.
glove.
Soft
Fits
ears.
like a glove, people. Okay, so the cool thing about this song, they liked it so much, and the live version does kick ass. They did this all through.
they did it all through, like, yeah.
Hot in the Shade was the last tour they did this song.
Oh, they did. I was gonna say Crazy Nights, but they definitely, they did it.
Hot in the Shade. So yeah, great Gene song. Gene, no Vinnie here. This is all Gene. Gene wrote this. This and the next song, Gene wrote by himself. Great song, great lyrics. I love the lyrics. Dirty song, dirty songs,
And just
Night-
a raw
night scenes,
guitar
wet
sound.
Dreams.
Like kind of a pull off, ride the openings, pull offs, and like it's a rocking tune.
And then it breaks down, and I think that's probably why they did it live so much. It breaks down, and Gene gets to kind of have some fun with the whole knife through butter
Through
line.
butter. And there's those breaks later where Vinny said, those breaks for the guitar. That is killer, man.
The first time I heard them do it live was on Animalize Live and Censored.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, that is so cool they chose to do this song. You know, you wouldn't expect them to do that. And they did. And they did it for a while after that. Great song. When I think of Gene's best 80s songs, it's one of them I think of. Was my favorite on the album for a long time.
It's cool that they did it on so many tours. It's not a single. It's deep in the album. But, they just knew it's a good rocker to do live. So
Absolutely. And then, so this starts a Gene trilogy.
it does. I always thought that was so cool because I'm a Gene lover.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the album just ends great. A lot of people don't love the last two songs, but
I don't get it.
I do, especially Dance.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, Dance All Over Your Face. What a vengeful song. It's just Gene is being spiteful and I read somewhere like that it kind of glorifies violence towards women. I mean, come on, let's not take the lyrics that seriously, people. You know what I mean? She cheated on him.
Yeah, dancing. I mean, maybe he's wearing slippers. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not violent
Who
at all.
knows? Who knows?
Maybe it's their little thing that got kind of worked out, really. Like, she cheats on him, he acts like he finds out, he gets his slippers out and dances on her
Yeah,
face.
it's just a song. Don't take it so literal.
Yeah.
And he does a great song of acting it out. I like when he says "bitch." He just throws "bitch" at the end of a
Yeah,
line.
these guys are cussers, man. Soft ears.
Well, we should warn people before they even watch
That's
this.
true. Rated R video.
It is. It's
I'll
bad.
definitely say not for kids. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay, so "Dance All Over Your Face," good song.
Kind of funky. Kind of some little bit of funky bass in there.
And it breaks down. Yeah, the bass going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Great tune.
So that ends, and so now we have a Gene-Vinnie collaboration. So much so that Vinnie rehashes an old Warrior song that was called "Boys Gonna Rock."
Yeah.
So he took the verses from that. They changed some of the lyrics up.
And I think when it starts in, it's just kind of got this triumphant. It's kind of funny. I just think it's kind of comical. On the 8th day, God created rock and roll. I guess I have seen a couple reviews of this album, and some people hate the song. I can't really figure out why. It's just a fun, almost monotonous vamp out. Monotonous is the wrong word, but it vamps out and it just kind of cruises out. The last couple songs, it's interesting how this album ends. It doesn't really end on a bang. It doesn't end on a whimper either, but it just kind of like paces out Gene style. You know what I mean? And the 8th day is kind of I think it's a really unique song,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so on the 8th day, God created rock and roll, and then he gave it to you. So
Indeed.
it's the first of,
Ties in.
Yeah,
Got
there
the
you go.
Kiss religious experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how during the Creatures tour, they got a lot of religious groups, and they're Satanists and things like that. And then on the very next album, they're telling those people, hey, God created rock and roll.
Hey, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a cool little tie-in as well.
I always loved the chant vocals, and as a kid when I got it, I think it was probably the second new album that I got. Because I got Animalize, it was already out though, and then I got Lick It Up. And I had Alive and Alive 2 before that. Those are the first 4 albums I think I ever got. And I remember just thinking, these guys sound like cavemen on this chorus of this song. And I loved it. I love it. You know, just like I Love It Loud.
So here's a tough question for you, Peter.
Let's see, what you got?
Who's the MVP of this album?
Well, obviously...
That's hard to say.
Obviously, it's kind of Vinny for what he brought to it that wasn't really there before. But I mean,
Paul and Gene's vocals.
Paul and Gene's vocals. You know, I mean, come on.
Just Gene's vocals on "Young and Wasted" alone, or "Not for the Innocent."
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's a tie between like Vinny and Gene, and nothing against Paul, of course. He's amazing.
Oh man,
and Eric's drumming,
Paul and Exciter, and just
Eric's drumming can't be beat. I mean,
yeah.
Man.
So in the recording of this album, the difference between this and Creatures, and people bring it up, the missing ingredient, you got Michael James Jackson, you got Eric Carr on drums. What you got missing is Bob Clearmountain, who of course made those Bryan Adams albums sound amazing. I love the Bryan Adams albums up till what's the one after Reckless? I love those first handful of Bryan Adams records. They're really good, you know. And what's the song that Eric wrote?
Don't Leave Me Lonely?
With him. That's a good tune. That
was on Cuts Like a Knife, right?
But yeah. And then Bob Clearmountain, just like what's his name, that did Balls to the Wall.
Dieter Dirks?
Yeah, they brought him in just to mix the album. So this was a little bit more of an in-house situation, but Bob Clearmountain on our Creatures, they basically gave the album to him and said, make it awesome. So he did all sorts of shit like putting mics, speakers, shooting audio down elevator shaft in the building, and just really everything. And it's really subtle because when you reamp things like that, you play around with it, you can find really amazing little tones and stuff. And we obviously all feel that from the Creatures album, but this is just different because it's kind of missing that Bob Clearmountain thing. This album could have sounded just like that. It's all in the mix, you know.
Yeah, that's not to say the drums don't sound fucking
It's
amazing
great.
on this.
They're tight sounding. They got nice crisp high end. I would say they're just not produced quite as much, but I don't think they're underproduced. You know, I think they fit the album really well. So
absolutely,
yeah.
So Eric Carr is one of the MVPs too. So that's the mark of a good Kiss album.
That's 4 MPVs out of 4.
That's what I mean. When you can't pick the MVP of an album, that's a great album because all 4 guys are doing their part. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of really amazing things that went into making this album, like the makeup coming off, Vinny coming in, them not having anyone else but Vinny and kind of just going with him, and him bringing in songs and working on them with songs. So it's a really unique, one-of-a-kind album, you know.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm going to go so far as to call this my favorite non-makeup Kiss album.
A lot of people do. Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Or is it still hot and shade for you?
Well, you know me, I don't like favorites, but because it's Lick It Up. I will say it's very unique. It's very, very strong, and even a couple of the songs where people think might be the least favorites, I still love those. I think they're great tunes. On the 8th Day, a lot of the Deep Kiss fans, we've all heard Lick It Up a lot, but still, it's a great tune. You know, completely solid from start to end. You know,
absolutely.
And I think in Kerrang, it got just raving reviews in Kerrang at the time.
I can see why.
Yeah.
And to wrap things up, as far as the whole album cycle is concerned, they finished the tour, Vinny's kicked out. All that good stuff we said about him, forget it because he's gone now.
Yeah, now we hate him.
We don't hate Vinny.
We don't know him, so we don't have to worry about.
So then enter Mark St. John, cue up our Animalize episode because that follows everything we just said.
Yeah.
And then watch our Asylum one.
Indeed.
And then our future Crazy Nights one. So yeah, thank you.
Is there anything else about the album? I guess that's it.
There's nothing else I can think of.
I probably could talk for another hour about it, but I don't. I'll just have to get started, and then it's. But yeah, I guess that's about it. To keep it concise, but an amazing album.
Yeah, keep in mind this is like heavy metal Kiss. They're competing with your Judas Priests and your Iron Maidens and your Ozzies, you know, and Quiet Riot at the time, right? And Shout the Devil came out the same year. And guess what? They're keeping pace.
Yeah,
they're keeping pace with Scream for Vengeance and things like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, kudos to Kiss for and Vinnie as well for writing some amazing songs and doing a good job like
It's
that.
interesting how everybody loves them when they're just rocking hard. Alive, some of the heavier stuff on Destroyer and just, Creatures and of course Revenge. When they rock hard, they do it so good. And it's kind of amazing that they do it so good, and then time and time again they kind of fall off track. And you got "I Was Made for Loving You," and you got "Hot in the Shade" stuff happening, and they fall off of it because they're trying to make the band, trying to make it work financially. They're trying to be able to pay for that stage they're using on tour. And I heard that Vinnie and Eric had to take pay cuts even on the Look It Up tour. It did good, but it wasn't an Animalized tour yet. You know what I mean? So. They had to take pay cuts, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah,
it's kind of a little tear right here for that.
Yeah, I think during Crazy Nights tours when they reached its the lowest point, rock bottom.
Really?
Financially, yeah. Okay, so you, the lucky listener, have stayed this long. So I told you I'd tell a Vinnie story, and God damn it, I will.
You got another one?
Yeah, I got another Vinnie story.
Mackerel.
Okay, so we've been talking about Vinnie this whole time. Mm-hmm. He leaves. He's asked to leave Kiss. Or maybe he left on his own. Who knows? Who do you believe? I don't know.
He just wouldn't sign, and
they got sick of him.
He thought he was going to bring songs back, I guess, for the next album at one point.
Yeah. Animalized would have been a whole lot different with.
They just got someone else, yeah.
So anyway, he's off on his own. He ends up signing with Chrysalis Records, Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Everyone knows about their first album. The second album, All Systems Go, with Mark Slaughter, didn't sell as well. Because I think the first album was like the fastest selling debut album on Chrysalis ever.
Oh, yeah.
But the second album didn't do as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype at the time.
And Vinnie didn't like Mark Slaughter. There's all this infighting in the band. But Shane and I, my friend Shane and I, we were huge Vinnie Vincent Invasion fans.
Really? Yeah?
Yeah. He went to see Vinnie
on Maiden tour?
On the Maiden tour and taped it.
Really?
And
he has it?
Or maybe he didn't tape it, but this other guy we know taped it. Mm-hmm. And it was only 25 minutes long.
Because I want that Iron Maiden show.
No, I don't know if the guy recorded the Maiden version.
Oh, okay.
Set. But long story short, I don't know, the internet wasn't around in 1988. So we found out Vinnie was playing in Linwood, Washington.
Uh-huh.
Linwood is, for those who don't know, maybe 20, 25 miles north of Seattle. Which to us at the time, we were in Spanaway, was like 70, 80 miles away. So it was quite the venture, but we decided, hey, we're going to go, even though he's playing at a 21 and over club and we're 17. We knew we weren't going to get in. So we just wanted to be in Vinnie's presence. And we were 17 and we drove all the way up there. This is August 1988.
Do you guys wear pink?
Yes. So we go up there. And right away, we find the venue, which, by the way, was a steakhouse. The Riviera. It was a steakhouse, people.
Yeah.
The Riviera Steakhouse in Linwood, Washington. No clue if it's still there. Yeah. And we pull up, and we're there. We're there plenty early, maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And we look across the street, and there's some hotel. I can't remember which one. Mm-hmm. And there's a tour bus parked outside of it. So we're like, that's probably their bus.
Yeah, you found them, huh?
So we go and we're hanging outside the tour bus, and we're there for a while. And it's not really raining; it's kind of drizzling. Typical summer rain in Seattle, or near Seattle. And we're waiting for a while, and sure enough, the door opens to the bus. You see
these little black girls' boots coming,
and Vinnie gets off the bus with, I assume, was his road manager, who probably, in hindsight, I think was George Suet, which if I would have known then, I would have wanted to talk to as well, because he was Kiss's road manager for a while. So anyway, George, walking next to Vinnie, is holding an umbrella over Vinnie.
Really?
Because Vinnie's not going to hold his own umbrella.
Oh, yeah. Ace not going to carry his own hat, Vinnie's not going to hold his own umbrella. Yeah.
And the thing was, it was barely even raining.
Yeah.
And
That's embarrassing.
And Vinnie... Everyone knows, I mean, let's face it, it was a wig. Vinnie wore a wig in the Invasion, that's...
Did he have the wig on, or was it Gerber
time?
No. It was Gerber time?
Yes. Yeah. It was like, the only way I can describe it would be like on Lick It Up tour. You know, the flatter kind of. It's still
I
long.
thought his hair looked. I mean, Paul
it
says
was
that
fine.
Gerber remark, but I thought his hair always looked.
No,
fine,
it was fine. It was the flatter version, though. It wasn't like spiked up or anything. And I had my Vinnie Vincent Invasion shirt on, and I remember he looked at us. And He goes, "Hey guys." And I remember we're just like, because we're 17, and this is like a guy who was in Kiss. It's fucking Vinnie Vincent. And we're just like, hi.
Hi, Vinny.
Anyway, so him and the road managers walk past us basically into the lot. Because, you know, I mean, in hindsight, I wish I could have talked to him or something.
We didn't talk much,
But, so anyway, so we're just kind of standing there, and it's one of those things where he walks by and we're like looking at him.
You're like, we should have talked to him.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, the day is young. So we probably thought we had opportunity to do that.
True, yeah.
Speaking of which, so our next move would be, as we're sitting there like, what do we do next? We wait a little while, and we decide, I don't know what made us, you know, we're crazed fans, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's go try to find him in the hotel, find what room he's staying in or something.
Yeah, totally.
So all I know is we're in an elevator, heading up. I don't know if we found out what room he was in or not, and this bellboy, who are the people that bring room service? What they call bellboys?
Yeah.
This guy gets in there with a tray of food or whatever, and he probably seen my shirt. He goes, "Oh, Vinnie Vincent fans?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm actually taking this to him." We're like,
"Do you want to drug it?"
I go, "Tell," one of us said, "Tell Vinny he's got huge fans out here." He goes, "Okay, I'll tell him." Yeah. So anyway, so the guy goes in to bring Vinny his food. Yeah.
And you look out there, the same two guys stalking him all day long.
Well, here's the thing. We don't know if Vinny knew it was the same two guys, because this is like an hour later. So the guy comes out of the room, and we all get in the elevator again together, going down. And he goes, "Yeah, Vinny told me to tell you guys if you didn't leave, he was going to call security."
Really?
And our hearts just sunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course we're like, "So what's he doing in there?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's got his guitar out and stuff. Looks like he's writing songs or something."
Yeah.
Which, you know, you'd probably expect Vinny to be doing. So anyway, we don't know if Vinny knew that we're the same two fans who were out there. And I'm sure Vinny didn't even say it like maliciously or anything. But Vinny's doing his own thing in there. Like he wants us fans to come in there or whatever.
But not that cool.
It wasn't the best experience, but at least he said hi to us as he walked by, right?
Yeah.
So then we're back out by the bus. And Dana Strum and Mark Slaughter are out there. And Bobby Rock. All three of them. And oh my God, these couldn't have been nicer people. To this day, the nicest rock stars I've ever met. These guys were just salt of the earth people, man. And I remember Mark.
You know, those guys are slaughtered.
Really? Is that what became of those guys?
Yeah, I just thought I'd school you on that.
Okay, so I remember Dana especially, because we were talking about how much we liked All Systems Go, and I remember they signed their albums and stuff. I remember Dana especially was like, so he was like really like, I've never met a more engaging musician. Like he really wanted to know what we liked about the album, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the time, August 88, Vinnie Vincent Invasion was basically over. They were just finishing off the tour.
Yeah.
And they were done. They knew it.
We've heard about how the tour went.
Yeah, so they knew Slaughter was going to happen already.
Yeah.
So they're trying to gauge, like, what do fans really want, you know? And so, so they were super cool. We took pictures, and I think we actually walked with them across the street to the venue. But then they go in there, and, you know, we're not 21, we can't go in. But we did stay outside the venue and listen to the whole show. Now, we had a friend in there who taped the show. The tape exists.
You got to get that.
I had it at one point. I probably have it on cassette somewhere. But it's not a bad sounding.
For the Iron Maiden.
No, this was just Vinnie Vincent Invasion at a steakhouse.
Yeah.
I remember Vinny's solo was super long.
Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't get in. We listened to it outside. But that's my Vinny story. So, did I meet Vinny? I don't know. He walked by and said hi.
He told you to leave. That's pretty cool. Give 5. Right?
Well, I don't know if he knew it was us.
He still told you to leave.
Yeah. So if you stuck with us this long, I hope you enjoy that story. And it's cool though. I mean, it was cool seeing Vinny not in his whole pink wig outfit, you know.
Yeah.
And just as a human being walking past us, that was cool. So that, and you know, the invasion broke up like 2 weeks later, and Vinnie pretty much disappeared from the scene. Besides a few Kiss conventions, and he did write with Kiss for Revenge.
A couple years later, yeah.
And he did put out his Guitars from Hell EP or whatever it was. Man, you want to talk about overproduced? Have you listened to that? The Armageddon, Guitar Armageddon or whatever?
Yeah, I've heard
Wow.
it. Yeah.
That's some overproduced stuff. There's some good songs in there too.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This is, the last of an era. This is before every band had a little drum machine going on that the drummer had to play with, and you know what I mean? It's just drums, so.
Yeah, amazing album. Vinnie in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote 8 of the 10 songs. That says it all. So.
And I heard it's a 50-watt Laney combo that he used on this. If anybody knows, I've just always wondered. I know it was Laney stacks from in the Vinnie Vincent days.
Yeah, the picture of him in front of the.
Yeah, there's all the ads, and he used. And I've heard even like live, some people went backstage and those stacks weren't even on. He was using a Laney combo. But I wondered what he used on here, if it was a Marshall. Kiss flew him in and out of places, New York and LA, so maybe they just had Marshall sitting there, I don't know.
Well, Vinnie Vincent uses Laney amps because Vinnie wants the best.
That's true.
Yes, that's what they should have had on the back of the set.
Totally.
All right, so yeah,
Cool.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And Peter and I will be back with you in a couple weeks, right?
Yep, soon.
All right, adios.